Get it too. In this video, we're going to be diving into a lesser known game that never really got its chance to shine, that leaves a bittersweet legacy behind for the handful of players who were fortunate enough to stumble upon it. In all honesty, doing research for this video was extremely difficult, considering the distinct lack of information readily available for me to reference. So, I'm mainly going off of my own experience with the game, but considering the fact that I actively played it for about 6 years, I think I can be a decently credible source. So like most people, I ended up finding this game as an ad while watching anime through very legal sources. Initially, I was drawn in by the cover art for the game, containing multiple characters from distinct IPs like Dragon Ball, Bleach, and Naruto, which now that I'm thinking back to it, definitely wasn't legal, but was enough for 11-year-old me to be interested enough to give it a try, even though I had no idea what the gameplay even looked like. After downloading it and making an account, I was placed into a quick tutorial mode where I learned the game's functions. It was essentially a 3D brawler, blobby type fighting game where you could choose a fighting class to play as. It had a distinct colorful art style and honestly a fire soundtrack, so I was interested from the beginning and ended up getting one of my friends to play the game with me as well. Let's just say he did not last very long playing the game with me, but the mechanics of the games are pretty simple. There were 2 attack keys, X being a strong attack, C being your light attack. Z was to lock on to other characters in the match, B to jump, and spacebar was a weapon move, which is basically how using items in Smash was. And lastly, light and heavy attacks together would be your special move or ultimate. The fun of the game really was with the weapons you could equip, called it accessories, that had an extreme amount of variety. It can change your entire fighting style and introduce an extra layer of difficulty. There were hundreds of accessories in the game, most of which were behind a paywall, but for me, the fun of the game was really with skin creation. See, this is where the copyright infringement comes in. Getting had a lot of 3D model options you were able to edit, and you could change the polygons of pretty much everything, which led to a lot of freedom in what you're able to make. This, coupled with the fact that you could sell these skins in game for currency to buy weapons, adolescent me was basically running his own business at that point. There were some really talented people who'd make intricate copies of popular characters to sell in the shop, but I more so enjoyed making original characters to sell, and it'd always be cool to see other people using my skins in game. Also, one thing that I found really cool was how people got creative with even the concept of skin making in the game. Lori Moon, or Kiwi in Japan being an example. He used to have a series where he and a group of friends would have a 5-minute timer to make a skin with a theme, and then showcase them all afterwards. If you haven't seen them, which I know you haven't because this game literally had no player base, I highly recommend you do after this video. Also, hello Lori if you're watching this is Jaden. Another big aspect of this game were the casino, the draw system. Honestly, this is the only thing I used to spend my money on as a kid, and was pretty much criminal activity. So the default currency in the game you could earn was called win, which you could use to get the poor people accessories and models for skins. But this game was extremely pay to win, in that everything that was remotely fun was behind a paywall, and you'd have to use a currency called Crescent to get this. Now, growing up, money was one thing I didn't come by often, so I had to get really creative in how I got money to feed this addiction, to feed the grind. As a 12-year-old, I'd literally be doing surveys online for money, and honestly all my personal information is probably on the internet at this point. It's so Jover. And when I couldn't do that, I'd be going around my neighborhood looking for bottles to recycle, because you get 5 cents for plastic bottles and 10 cents for glass. And stay with me because this is relevant. Then I convert that money into a subway card, which worked for buying crescents for some reason, and then I'd finally gamble all my money away to get scammed. Because the only way to get the actual good accessories was essentially playing a slot machine. In these draw machines, the only good accessories would be in gold tier, and the mid accessories would be red. Everything else would just be a waste of money, and what you'd most likely get. Not to mention, that this game would literally give out recolors of the same accessories throughout multiple draws, which was basically highway robbery. I got so many recolors. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that this right here, this is probably my favorite thing that's ever happened with the game. It was from some random event where the community got to design an accessory that'd be added to the game, and this one won. And when I tell you, this was by far the coolest accessory I've ever used. Like, it was so creative, and literally there's no point to me even mentioning this because I don't remember what it did, but just know that it was really cool. In all honesty, I'm just glad I got into this game when I was a kid, when I was broke, rather than now, because having money, I most definitely would have sunk way more than I'd be willing to mention. Another aspect of this game worth mentioning is probably the mission system, which is really cool. The game had a whole fleshed out story, which I never cared enough to pay attention to, but I'm sure it was pretty cool. Probably. With this came missions, a PvE dungeon crawler type mode, where you can get materials as rewards. Then you can use those materials to either upgrade your accessories on your own, or you could craft new ones from scratch, with Dr. Baby, that's my dog. This game honestly shaped a lot of friendships that I still have to this day, and gave me so many memorable moments growing up. I'm honestly glad I took the chance to randomly download it, even though it was just a pop-up ad on Watch Cartoon. Only negative being is that this is the game that got me into League of Legends. And while the US version is sadly shut down since a few years ago, I'm pretty sure there's a private server still being hosted, but I can't speak for the legitimacy of it, literally only because of the fact that I've never tried it. But if you want to, and you're brave enough, I'd say go for it. That, and I'm pretty sure the Taiwanese server is still active. Overall, I'm sure I missed a lot of what goes into this game, but these are honestly just my highlights and what made the game fun for me. If by the off chance this video reaches anybody who actually played the game, be sure to comment what made it fun for you and some funny moments. This has been JQDNS, and I'll see you in the next video, where I'd probably be talking about more niche anime games I played that you've definitely never heard of. Also, I'd just like to thank everybody for the support for the last video, specifically the Guilty Gear one. That one kind of popped off. I'm gonna take most of the feedback that I've got from it. I've definitely been reading literally every single comment, and I'll try to make more relevant videos in the future. I'm kind of just still deciding what I want to do. I don't really know. It'd be pretty cool to have a decent end card to just like speak my thoughts in, but one step at a time. I'm still like updating everything, seeing like the new model, things like that. It's probably gonna change. I think it's very ugly, but that is all. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.